it's Mike again from Mike the World Explorer channel. Welcome back. We have today a video of the ship that started all of this travel for me. We're going to talk about the Battleship Iowa. We're going to talk about my time on board, deployments, the tragic explosion we had, and where you can go see it now. I was on this ship from August of 1985 through December of 1989. I worked in secondary fire control, which means I worked on all the equipment that aimed the 5-inch guns. It was really nice to be on a ship that was as robust as this ship was built. It was built back in the 40s to withstand heavy shells. It had 16-inch guns, and I got to see things that most people never get to see on a ship. So we're going to talk today about places I've been, deployments I've been on. We're going to talk about the tragic explosion, and we're going to talk about where you can see the ship. On the Iowa, I went on deployments all over the world. I got to see places in the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, the Caribbean, Central America, the Persian Gulf, and a lot of places in between. We even did some stateside visits in New York City and Fort Lauderdale. So there's not many places that I haven't been that are east of the U.S. Some of my favorite places include Copenhagen, Denmark, which I've done another video on. In Germany, I've been Frankfurt, Bremerhaven. I've been to Trondheim, Norway, Oslo, Norway, Copenhagen, Denmark, Aarhus, Denmark. I've been to Portsmouth twice, and going to Portsmouth was amazing because when we pulled into Portsmouth, the ship does an exercise where you get in your dress uniform and you do what's called manning the rails, and that's people have a place to stand all around the ship. And when you do stand in those places around the ship, from where I was standing, I got to see all the people that came to see us coming in. It was amazing the number of people in Portsmouth that came to watch our ship pull in. So this was an amazing time in my life. I was young, and literally the world was my oyster. I got to see so many places, so many new things, and got to meet so many different people from around the world. I had been on the ship almost 4 years, and it was April 19th of 1989. We were out in the morning, fairly near Puerto Rico, and we were doing some gun exercises. We had some higher brass on board, and they wanted to see the guns shoot, so the decision was made to go ahead and do a gun shoot for these guys. And at a little past 10 in the morning, I was asleep. I'd been on watch the night before, and I was asleep. I was about to go to sleep, and I heard what sounded like a very unusual gunshot. And it didn't sound right, and the next thing I know, they called general quarters, all hands man your battle stations. And one of my shipmates was across the way from me in his rack. We both got up and just stared at each other like, what's wrong? And then we heard unexplained detonation in turret 2, and we knew something was bad wrong. So we went to our general quarter stations, and on the way down, I was handed a mop and asked to mop part of the passageway because people were running to and from trying to get all the supplies they could to the gun to put the fire out. And you just, in this case, just whatever you needed to do, you did it because it helped save the ship. This was easily one of the worst peacetime accidents in history. We lost 47 of our shipmates. And as you'll see on this video, there's a plaque on the ship that honors those brave men. There were friends of mine amongst those people, and every person on the ship knew somebody that passed. So this was indeed a tragedy, and it did serve to help bring the bond of these shipmates closer together. Back in the year 1990 or 91, I believe, 1991 I think it was, the ship was decommissioned. And when it was decommissioned, they went ahead and put it in the reserve fleet, and for years it was in the reserves in case it needed to be recommissioned. Back in, I believe it was 2006, the Iowa was one of the last battleships to be stricken from the Naval Register, which meant she wasn't going to be used again. And shortly after that, the decision was made to move the ship to Los Angeles. And create a museum out of it. So the ship was pulled from its place where it was being stored to Los Angeles, and then because of environmental concerns, they had to use special paints, and it took a while to get that ship restored back to its former glory. But it is there now. It is there in its former glory. Some of the people that had been on the ship, some shipmates of mine, are actually people that are employed there and are curators of now the museum, and will actually give you a tour of the ship. One of them, Mike McTaggart, had saw me when I first came on board the first time. He took me down to my plotting room. He took me down to a lot of places on the ship that the normal tours don't get to go. And it was really quite an amazing feeling to see that ship again. When I pulled up on it in the car, there was just this amazing feeling inside, almost like you're coming home. And I went aboard that ship, and in a strange way, it just felt like nothing had ever changed. Of course, there weren't any crew on board. It didn't have the same life that it did, but you got to see places you had been. I got to see where I slept. You'll see in this video where I assigned my rack, the place where I was sleeping, and you'll just get kind of a taste of what it is on board of a Navy ship. And the battleships were unique, so this is a very unique ship you're going to get to see some pictures of.